Clarity is really the eternal quest, isn't it? Clarity meaning tuning to broader perspective. Isn't that what clarity is? Let's define it. Clarity is finding the vibrational equivalency of my source who is aware of everything and knows exactly to this most minute detail what I'm looking for. Beliefs do dilute, but they have value too. So let's not condemn beliefs. Let's appreciate the clarity of desire that they've produced, and then try to soften them so they stay out of the way so that you can see what they've produced. Isn't that a nice way of looking at that? Here's the thing. Trying to push anything aside just makes it stronger. There's a war against drugs and a war against cancer and a war against and a war against, and they're all getting bigger. Haven't you noticed? Every time somebody wages a war, it gets bigger. So, rather than push against it, rather than try to push it out of the way, instead, look for the clarity that it has produced. We want to give you a little story here because we hear this from a lot of you who have come to a certain place of clarity, and of course you still want more. You always will. It's an eternal quest, evolution. Since we are all eternal, more must be understood and embraced. So there's no standing still and there's no going back. So going with the flow of expansion is a really good thing. But there is a strong human attitude that you were raised in different belief systems that now you're trying to push aside. And that'll get you nowhere. Look at it this way. Let's say that you stepped into a vehicle and it wasn't awesome by today's standards, but it was awesome by that day's standards. And you stepped in it and you moved forward in it for a while. And then you looked over and there was something much more in sync with your now desires and understanding. So you stepped into that and off you go for a while. And then after a little while you see another and you step into that and off you go. But you don't want to condemn the vehicle that took you to that one, 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 that took you to that one. It's all part of the evolution. You don't want to stand where you are and ever feel regret for how you got here, because that makes where you are full of resistance and makes you less open to the receiving that could be there right where you are. Let's chew on this just for a little bit. We want to put all of you at ease relative to your emergence into this physical body in this time and space. So we started this conversation with just the best word ever, the word clarity. And we identify that clarity is alignment with the whole of you. And clarity is about focus. So you were born into an environment, we're talking about the whole earth experience, of enormous variation and diversity. Oh, it's just beautiful and perfect and balanced. Understanding, you made the decision to come deliberately because you understood that out of all of that would come your opportunity to come to your own decisions and desires. So you weren't pushing against anything that was here. Not one of you said, I'll go, but clean it up before I get there. One political party, please. In agreement. One religion. Please decide how you see God, and once you're all in agreement and you're no longer killing each other over that, I'll come. Not one of you said that. Instead, you came knowing that the diversity would help you to focus. So think about what focusing actually is. Isn't relationship with something necessary to focus? If you came into this room and it was a room that was completely devoid of light, while with your other senses, you may be able to find your way to some extent. Isn't it nice that you could use your eyes to focus? Isn't it nice that you have some relationship with your chair? Isn't it nice that you have some relationship with one another? We know this is a really bulky, obvious analogy, but everything around you is necessary for you to focus. And so being born into a belief system, every single one of you knew that no matter what belief system you were born into, it would evolve into something that was bigger and more. Every one of you knew that. And not one of you came into this body making war with any belief systems that existed. That's why you came in such diversity into so many different belief systems. There is a belief system that goes across the board with humanity that serves you and yet doesn't serve you, that we like to talk about all day, every day. And that's the belief system that you all have in your infatuation with, you're more than infatuated with it. You so embrace now reality. What is now has so much of your attention that you hold yourself back from the creation that you've already put into your vortex. There's the you who is under the influence of the whole of who you are, and there's the you who may be influenced by other humans who are insecure. And what we're saying to you is, even if you were born into an environment of insecurity, where they sought to control you and it was fear-mongering and they warned you against all kinds of things, still there was value in the focus that provided for you, because out of that was born clarity of who you really are and lots of impulses from your inner being. And so believing in yourself, when you say that, what we mean by that is getting a whiff of what your inner being, the total you, really knows about this. And when that happens, when you really hook up with who you really are, you don't feel one bit of impulse to push against one bit of anyone. When you're really tuned into who you are, it's only their assets and their positive aspects that your inner being ever focuses upon. That's the big benefit of your inner being. We're going to say something to you, and you're going to repeat it, and when you do, we're going to deny it. No, we won't deny it. But we want to get your attention with this, and so we're going to say something. Esther's already formulated the words for it, so here they come. You're here doing the dirty work. You're here to experience the contrast. Your inner being isn't. You are here experiencing contrast and giving birth to what is preferred, and your inner being turns undivided attention to what is preferred. So when you say believe in yourself, we want to say more than believing. There's hoping, which is pretty good. There's doubting, which feels terrible. There's hoping, which feels better. There's believing, which feels even better, and there's knowing, which feels even better. When you know what your inner being knows, now you're standing strong and stable. And when you know, when you're tuned in with your inner being, you don't need to push against anything because you don't fear its intrusion into your experience. You only fear intrusion when you're misunderstanding. It's attraction, it's attraction, it's attraction, it's attraction. There is no assertion. It's attraction, it's attraction, it's attraction, it's attraction, it's attraction. Esther has a global entry card, and it expired a few days ago. But before that, she got onto the website to renew it. And her friend and brilliant IT person guided her through. She did everything the way he had just done it. He had just done it an hour before. She got it all done. And now she's waiting for the card to come, but it doesn't come. It hasn't come. His did. Everyone else's did. Where's her card? Stuck in cyberspace? Is she on a watch list somewhere? Why is her card not coming? Well, the card matters to her because it's TSA pre-check. It takes her through the airport so much more easily. And there's 6 months leeway. There's nothing urgent about it, but still, she's uneasy that she doesn't have that card in her hot little hand. She wants it and doesn't have it. She wants it and doesn't have it. So she feels insecure that she doesn't have it. A little insecurity that she doesn't have it. Even though there's 6 months leeway and nothing to worry about, and it certainly is coming, and it doesn't matter why it hasn't. In fact, maybe it hasn't for the benefit of this exposure to this experience. So she gets to the airport and goes to the Southwest check-in. She really likes those guys. They're always so fun and so nice, and they play with her and she plays with them. And so she hands her her envelope and off she goes. She has her driver's license still in hand and her boarding passes, and she comes to the first place where they check to see if you have TSA. And she's really on the move because she always just holds it, and she's amazed how well they can see. that they're able to always see that she is TSA pre-check while she's in motion. And she always says, you've got really good eyes, as she swings past them. So she's swinging past this guy, and he says, hold it, wait. You don't have TSA pre-check. And Esther said, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't. And Esther looked, and she didn't. And she said, well, where's the flyby lane? And he said, I don't know what you're even talking about. You'll have to go back to she said, I always get it. And he said, well, not today. And her greatest fear has come to pass. She has to get in that long line. She looked down, wasn't even her name on the boarding pass. Wasn't a long walk back. She went back. She said, hey, you guys gave me somebody else's boarding pass. And she checked, and they'd checked the luggage correctly. And someone else's boarding pass had just been in the printer. And he said, I am so sorry. And Esther said, it wasn't your fault. She knew. She knew. It's attraction. It's attraction. It's attraction. It's attraction. It's attraction. It's attraction. She's worried about that, and she got it. And people who she knows well did it to her. No. She didn't try to explain all of that. Well, you see, there's this law of attraction thing, and you're just a cooperative component to my fear, and I've been worried about this, and so you tapped into my vibration, and you were inspired by your inner being to make what looks like a mistake but was really divine intervention to put me in a position of understanding that I get what I think about. This is the most wonderful thing about what we get to teach you or to interact with you about. There is not a shred of evidence to the contrary of anything that we speak. So it's not hard to trust it once you allow yourself to meditate and raise your vibration and then receive that guidance. You just have to know. And once you've had enough experience where you do know that, we say to people, start out with easy things. What happens with so many of you is you've got some issue that you want to get to the bottom of or that you want to resolve. But because it's an issue, you've thought a lot about it. And you've thought a lot about it from your awareness that it isn't what you want. So without even meaning to, you've got all this resistance on this issue, and then you want to start with that issue to gain your trust. Well, that's the last issue you should start with to gain your trust, because it's the hardest issue to start with to regain your trust. You've practiced. The subject of money is a hard one because you've practiced not having enough. And so what it really comes down to is you are lovers. You love. That's who you are. And anything less than that is not who you are. But you know what's so interesting? Wherever you stand, you often believe you are right. And even if you don't feel love, you still think you're right. You think you're right, but you're not in sync with Source, so you don't feel love. And so it's not paying off for you because you're missing some important elements. You can't be in hate or anger or frustration or doubt and be practicing alignment. You can only be in love and appreciation and positive expectation and fun and lightheartedness, you see. When something happens and you're able to make the correlation between what you've been expecting and what comes, a lot of people who are not tuned in, tapped in, turned on, they can't get past your expectation. So your expectation evokes from people. In other words, that's what the law of attraction is. It's attraction, it's attraction, it's attraction. So you get what you think about, which means you come to trust those outcomes. But it's only when you factor in your alignment factor that you really have your ability to deliberately create. Nice to know, isn't it? Yeah.